All right, I want to welcome you all to our live instructional webinar designed to support the school annual yearbook program. Today we'll be focusing on the functions that relate to building activity or candid pages. Specifically, we will be reviewing page bleeds and margins, the toolbar, design features, templates, click and go templates, custom templates, and themes. This webinar will be approximately 40 to 45 minutes, so let's get started. First, we're going to talk about bleeds and margins, and we're going to explain the concept of the bleed. The bleed is a full color extending to the edge. So what we're going to do right here is you can actually see this red and blue right here. If the red line right here, and let me get my pen. So here we have this red line right here. If you stop the blue or whatever color right here, everything else in this little exaggerated right here, and we go to trim, say we trim, and it's a 1/8 trim. So if we trim this off, you will have this little white box right here, and you will see that white edge on the side of the page on the top. And so if you don't want that, you don't want this white edge, that's when we would take this box right here and we would extend it past the cutting line, and we would extend it past this red line. So then when we go to cut it, when we go to cut it, you will have that blue that extends all the way to the line right there. So you won't get that white edge. It will stay a solid color. Now the gray area, this area right here indicates the bleed. So like this red box right here on this page is actually in the bleed area right here. This section right here represents the 1/8 plus or minus margin in which we cut. Now this all depends, the cutting all depends on things like the blade, the paper, the way it's loaded, the operator. So that's why we always say plus or minus. Now next we'll talk about the blue line, and that's this line that's right here and right here. So this blue line that's all right here, this blue box, and I blew up the screen so that everyone can see this a lot better. So this blue box represents that blue box right here. This is the display area. And this display area is where you can safely this blue area right here is where you can safely drop images. So if I come over here to my images and I select an image, I can safely put an image anywhere in this blue area and not have to worry about it being cut off or being parts of it missing. We're going to put that area right here, and I'm going to reset the sizing. And I'm going to go to my candid page, and I'm going to find a couple of pages, well, a couple of images. Here we go. Here's my images. So we're going to put this image, and we want to move it up here. Find this image, we'll move it up here. And here's this image, and we want to move it right here. So a couple of issues here. Now we talked about the bleed line. This is where everything is going to get cut. So everything inside this gray area right here, that's going to be cut off. So you can already see the beginning of the issue right here. is everything from where this red line is up is going to get cut. From this red line to the left is going to get cut. So you can see in this picture right here, the top of the head is going to be removed. In this photo right here, the top of the head will be cut as well. Now we also talked about plus and minus, so there might be a slight, the blade might be a plus, minus there, or a plus here. So you can see more of that image might be cut off the yearbook. And sometimes there are parents that might get upset that a picture of their student is, part of their head is missing, and you can't really see it. Other pictures, such as this one in the middle, may not be an issue, but these two on the left and the right could be an issue. If you want to see just how much of that image is missing, you can also click on this little icon right here. It's the print preview page, and that will take us to a PDF. And here you will see a black dotted line running across the top and the side. And you can see right where that dotted line is running, that's where the cut line is. So you can see how much of that image is being cut. Also, if you look here on the right, you will see how much of this image of this tiger is going to be inside the fold or the middle of the book. So you can see some of that image is missing. If we come down here, some of that image is over here. So you can actually see just how much of that image is going to be in the middle or right where it's folded or glued or sewn together. So you can see how much of that image is going to be gone. So to avoid this, you could just simply bring this image down and into the display area, and then you'll be able to see all that image. All right, next we're going to talk about the designer basics, and we're going to talk about the toolbar and the tab basics. So here, the first one, we have file. Under file, you have some of the items you're going to be using, probably most of. First one is the save. Here you can click save, and it will save the page. You can also go over to the right here, and you'll see that 3.5 floppy, and that's also the save button. So if you click that, it will also save. Next, we have the save as template, and we'll talk about that here later. Save as click and go, we'll also address this one later. Now, if you're working on a page and it's something that's you're experimenting with, you want to see what works, you're designing a few things, you kind of want to see how things might mesh together, or if it's possible or does it even look good. Here you can save it as a practice page. And then once it's saved as a practice page, you can come back to design. Then under my custom, you will have your practice pages here. Then if you ever want your practice page, you can always click and hold, drag it on here, and then your practice page will load. Here you also have new practice page, view PDF, so you can use this page as a PDF. You can also download this page as a JPEG or PNG, so you can print it off and actually look at it or send it to a teacher for approval, or a principal, whoever. I understand some schools may have someone who wants to look at the book before it's sent off and printed. Next is the edit. Here's the undo. The undo and redo button is right here as well, along with spell check, print preview, virtual book. Virtual book, for those of you that are may have a school that you're allowed a certain allotment of paper, maybe a month or the whole year, to save money. With the virtual book, you can just click this, and then you can view your book virtually and go through all the pages. Then right here you have comments, so you can actually add a comment to it, something for your staff to see or something for yourself if you want to leave a note. Under edit, you also have change background, which we will get to after templates, and spelling. You can also do spell check, which is also right here. Under view, you can hide the rulers or hide the margins. We suggest just leaving it as it is. Right here under guidelines, the guidelines can be found right underneath your ruler. If you hover over it, you'll see that my cursor changes to a four-way arrow. If you click and hold on the toolbar and drag it down, you'll see a red line follows. Once you let go, you will see that it turns a blue color. If you hover over it, it turns red again. The same on the other side, you can bring one over. And what this does is it helps to be able to line up images. So if you want to make sure images are even straight across, or you want to bring this one down and make sure that they're spaced out a certain spacing all the way over, you could do something like that. Once you're done, now these won't print or be seen on the finished product, but if you want them to be cleared off of there, you can go to guidelines, come down here to clear guidelines, clear all, and then that will all disappear. But any previews, they won't be on there. Next is arrange. Here you can lock an image, and you will see a red with a red lock right here. To unlock this, you come back up to arrange and unlock it. You can also come, if you have the image selected, you can also come over here to the padlock icon on the right, and you can also lock it and then unlock it. What this benefits is if you have an image right here and you don't want it moving, if you're trying to select more than one image, so if I was to select these images right here and try to move them, I'm also moving the background too. So to get the background to stay where it is, you can just lock it. Now when I go to grab those images, I can just grab the images themselves, and I don't have to worry about moving this background on accident. If I start moving images like that, I don't end up moving the background. All right, next let's go to these tabs. Now the first one is pages. Instead of going to your plan page ladder and then clicking onto another page, you can come over to pages right here, and all your pages are right here. So if you want to click on your last page right here, you can just click on your last page. If you need to go back up to another page, you just go to another page. So this saves you time in trying to go all the way up to plan and then trying to go through the long way. Next, we have designs, and we're going to talk about templates here at the same time. So under designs, you will have things like Page Surfer, your candids, and these are templates that are pre-done for you. And something new this year is you can actually hover over it like I just did, and you can actually, just give me just a minute. And then you can hover over it like I'm doing right here, and you can actually see a preview of the pages before you put them on there. To put a template on here, all you have to do is click and hold, drag the template on there. Now it's going to ask you to retain content. We want to say yes. Now the reason why this is important is if we have a background on there, let's do it this way. So if we have a background on there and we want this template and we put this template on here, it's going to ask, do we want to retain what is on here, namely the background? If we say no, the background disappears. Now if we bring this over here and we say yes, the background stays. So by clicking no, everything that's already on the page gets removed. By saying yes, everything on the page stays there, mainly the background. All right, with these templates placed, and just because there's a left and right here does not mean you have to use them. If you see a left page that you like this one right here, you can bring this over, click yes, and you can start placing images. And images can be placed. You just go to your image gallery, click and hold on an image, come over here, find which one you want, and you can place it. If you're seeing a red box like this, it simply means that the box is larger than the image itself. If it's green, it's good to go. You can unclick it and the image will drop right there. If the box is red like this and you let go, then the image is just going to sit right there. Now, if you want to use this template elsewhere on the page, instead of trying to remember which image it was, which category it was in, and all that, you can go up to File, Save as a Template. You can give this template a name, such as first grade, whatever name you need to name it to remember what it's for. And you can click either on left, right, or both and hit save. Once you hit save, you can come back up to custom my templates, and there you will see that your templates are right there. This is very important if you want to use templates next year. If you want these templates that are currently in my templates folder, if you want those for next year, make sure you save the templates on the page. Because if they're not here in the my templates, then they can't get moved over to next year. So anything you create this year, make sure you save a template of it so you can use it again next year. So also under my design, you will have click and goes. What these are just like a small created. So let's get rid of some of these here. So some of these are just like small created templates for you to use. So you can edit these any way you want. Now, you will see that there are a dotted yellow line all the way around these. That indicates that this is grouped together. So to ungroup these, we're going to go up here. You'll see a toolbar that opens up right above the page right here. If you click off of it, you'll see the bar disappears. You click back on, the bar reappears. We're going to go all the way over to the right here, and we're going to see this symbol right here, and it says ungroup. We're going to click ungroup, and you will see the boxes here all have a solid yellow line all the way around them. All you have to do is click onto the side of them, and then you can put images on each one, and you can now edit this text box right here. And then once you're done, you can highlight all of them again, come back over, and you can group them all again. Now, if you made this, or you made something like this, and you want to save this as a click and go for next year, do the same thing as the template. You can come up to File. Instead of saving as a template, we're going to save it as a click and go. So you can click here, give it a name. I'm just going to type some letters here. Click Save. Then you can come over here to Custom, My Click and Go, and then there you go. So there's one I made earlier, and then here is the one we just saved. Also under here you have Page Surfer, you have the gallery, you have sports. You also have other click and goes, such as scoreboard. Under advertising, you have such different advertising templates. Under portraits, you also have all portraits. You can go all portraits and look at every single one of these. So there are many different types of templates you can choose from, and you can also make your own templates too. All right, next we're going to go over to art, and we're going to have image frames right here. These are different image frames that you can use. You could use a basic square, circle, pentagon, octagon, triangle, whatever image block you want, and you can drop any images you want in those. So it all depends on which ones you want to use. Next we have clip art, and under clip art we have either by category. So if you have a sports page or you have all your sports icons, by cover. Now, just because you did not choose either a custom cover or one of our standard covers, you may have made your own cover, doesn't mean you can't use these. You're free to use any of these that you want under my cover. You can also use some of these under a theme. So if you have a theme, well, you like different colors, or you have one uh, for reading, birds, bees, whatever your theme is this year, you could try to find something close to it. You could use any of these, any of the backgrounds, any of the clip arts. So all of those are free for you to use. Next, we have text. Here you will find all your text. You can just grab and hold and bring a text over here. While it's still selected, you will see a text box right here. You will see that you can change the style, the text, the font size. There we go. You can also change the text color if you want by clicking the A over here. This is the outline, so you can actually give it an outline. You can actually make that outline you can also give it a box to put it in. Your align, your spacing, whether you want this all uppercase, all lowercase. Flow, we talked about flow in our previous video on portraits. You also have history, so we'll actually skip to the history here real quick. Under history, you will see that everything, so once we hit save, you'll see today we don't have anything, but once I hit the save icon, you will see that now we have one that was saved today. You see nothing yesterday. This week, you will see everything that was saved this week or last week. And then under older versions, you will see everything that is saved since the beginning of the page. So everything right here was saved from at one point. Here you will see the word history. If you click on it, you will see a history of everything that's done on this page. And you can see what was done. You can actually see who the user was, as well as the time and date that the action took place. At any point you need to pull something from your history, all you have to do is click and hold, and then you can pull it onto the page. So if you one thing we do suggest is if you make major changes to your pages, to go ahead and hit save, or as you're designing the page, hit save, because for any reason you need to go back a couple of steps, you can easily go back a couple of steps. And a little shortcut too, you will see it says last edit was made on this day. If you click that, it'll actually take you to your history tab real quick too. Next, we're going to talk about backgrounds. And there's two kinds of backgrounds you can choose from. First one is a solid color. Next one is an image. And to get to these, you can go to Edit and choose Background. Or you can right-click and choose Background. Whatever way works for you. Here, you can choose a solid color, and you can choose from our list of colors right here. So if you see one that you like, you can click on that. Or if you don't want a solid color, you can also click Remove Background, come up to Choose Image, and here you can choose any image you want. Some of you may have, by default, all backgrounds, and here's where all of your backgrounds will be right here. So if you see one that you like, you can select it. Now, if you want this background on multiple pages, we suggest that you write down the background code right here. You could just do 60. So if you go up here to the search and you just hit 60, it'll give you all the ones in 60. Or you could just type out the whole thing if you want to. But yes, definitely write down the code that will help you find the background and all this. So select it, hit select, and it will be right here in the background. Now, the reason why we would suggest using the backgrounds instead of just plopping, just a shape right here and then changing a shape color. So doing that, this can be moved. This background cannot be moved. I cannot move that background. It stays right where it's at. And it's one less thing that you have to worry about shifting on you. Now, another thing you can do is under clip art, you can choose category, cover, theme. So if you go under, let's say, theme, and you go to bees. So you'll see that there's backgrounds for bees right here. So you can go through and find which background you want. And let's go down here. And here we go. So you'll see a red box on some of these icons. That just means that they cannot be used as a background. Some of these icons, like this one right here, you can select it and use it as a background. Or you can select one of those and just use it as a background. So you can use the backgrounds from themes, from covers, whatever you want. Some of these also have a left and right. Let's go back to adventure here. So some of these will have like a left page and a right page, and they kind of go together to form one. So to form one page and one large background. All right. So next we're going to talk about formatting. So we have an image frame on here. And these image frames, you could use them for, like we said, we could use them to make a candid page, our own template if we want. You can also just come over here and get an image place the image on here and move the image any way you want, expand it out. So some of the other things you can do to expand on this image, or to kind of like we got right here, kind of a neon, like a neon box around it. We can come over to art. We can go over to shapes. We could grab a shape right here. We could put this shape over this image, bring it out just a little bit, come over to arrange right here, or we could come up to the word arrange, come down to the word arrange, and we're going to send backwards. All right, so now it's behind the image. And then with it still selected, we can come up to color, and we can select any color we want right here. Move that image right here. We can highlight both of these images if we want them centered. We come up here, we go over here to arrange. We can align to the center, align to the middle. There we go. We can select this image right here. We can also add a stroke. Let's go to 2, and with it still selected, we can come over here and let's add yellow. So now we can add, zoom in a little bit. So now we can add kind of a two-tone look to it. With the image still selected, we can select our format and effects. We can come over here and we can round the corners off a little bit, just like we did right here on the other page. The next two just change the transparency or the tint. You don't really have to mess with those. Next is the drop shadow or glow. You can add a bit of a glow if you want to. Also change the color. So let's change it to brighter color. The opacity determines if whether or not it's visible to you can actually see it. You can increase the blur or decrease the blur. Drop shadow. Let's click on the background for this one. So for drop shadow, you can choose any color again. So if we want to choose red, we can. Distance, you can have it as close as you want. You can go as far away as you want. The degree lets you basically which direction do you want the shadow to go. That's all that is. The opacity changes whether it's barely see or if it's a solid. And then the blur, whether it's a solid object or if it's just, it looks like it's just been spray painted on there. Now, if it's, next we're going to talk about cropping. So if we want just these 3 individuals, so we can click this crop tool right here. Click and hold. We can drag this image larger. Click off of it, and there's how we crop an image. We can also click on Snap Edit. Now, Snap Edit allows us to change the image to either a black and white image, an old style Western style image. You can add an overlay, and in this overlay you can change the brightness, the contrast. It's just something else that you can play around with. Next is the mask, and the mask we have 2 different things. We have black and white. So if you want to turn to a black and white image, you can add a mask there. You can also get creative and just Next one is transparent. So if we want this background to be a transparent background, we don't want this background right there, we want to put something else in there. So you can go through and do that, change the size of the brush to fine tune it. All right, and then once you're done, hit save. And it may take it a minute or two. And then there you go. You have a transparent background. Of course, you can always spend a little bit of time and clean it up and make it look nicer than mine. All right. Next, we're going to talk about text. So again, you can bring text down. Once again, we can change the size, change the style, change the size. We can make it underline, bold, italic if the chosen style allows it. We can center the text, change the coloring. And these are just some of the things you could do to build your pages, and you could take time to kind of experiment on some of this. Take time and kind of play around with the system, see what you like. You could also call in, and we can help you design a few things as well. Now, this time we'll open it up to any questions you may have. So if you have any questions, or if you have anything else that you want to ask at this time, you can please do so.
I have a quick question.
All right, I want to thank you for joining
us
us this afternoon. These demonstrations of the functions related to the creation of activity pages may help you when it comes time to build your own yearbook. Using these templates already in the program and building your own templates should save some time and give the book continuity. Feel free to join us later on in the school year when we start talking about the end process and how to submit pages. Right. Yes, go ahead with your question.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
And you could take yourself off of mute as well.
Sorry, I'm not sure if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Hello?
Oh, here, just
can
let me
you hear
turn
me?
that up.
Oh, someone can hear me. Good. My question is templates that we had under a previous logon. I have been registered not with my own login, but the login says registered at Seed. So how do we get our own login back and our old template?
Okay, with that, all I have to have is your login information with your job number from last year. And then I can sync with what we call syncing with last year. So I can go in and take the current saved templates from last year and then sync those to this year's book.
Will that also change my name from registered seed name to my actual name?
No.
Does that ever change? Or do
No,
I
that
set
does.
my own profile?
Yeah, that never changed. You're probably talking about, here, let me in recording.